Okay, hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Doug Mitchell with Ogletree Financial, and also on our call and handling the presentation today, Louis LaBache. Want to just get back to basics today. We talk a lot about Index Universal Life and a lot of the concepts that we have available for you guys as agents, but one of the things that you should all be doing and probably are doing that we would like to be a part of is your term insurance business. And we've got a great piece that is available to you. It's called a Quicker Quoter, and it's through CompuLife software. And instead of you going out and buying the CompuLife program, we've actually bought an Ogletree version of that, so it's available to you at no charge. And the quoter is pretty cool. Louis is going to get into it in depth, but we've been using this thing for probably about 10 years, and it's really a great presentation piece. So just moving forward, I wanted to mention a couple things. Number one, we've got a producer conference that we're doing in 2014. It's going to be in Cancun at the Riviera Maya area. A real neat area. We've been to this area before for producer trips. It takes $50,000 in production. And it doesn't matter if you ride it with Transamerica, Banner, North American, Lincoln. It doesn't matter. We just want you to do it with us. And so we pool your premium at the end of the year, and if it adds up to $50,000, we're going to give you and your guests an all-expense-paid trip with us to Cancun, and that's going to include your airfare, all of your meals and drinks and cocktail parties and everything that we have. So we want you to gear up and start doing some business with us. After the presentation today, we're gonna reach out to you, give you a phone call, and see if there's anything that we can do to kind of steer you our way. We'll also be emailing out the Quicker Quoter software so that you'll be able to download that to your desktop or your laptop or whatever you want to put it on. So. Louis, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you get into the meat of the presentation today.
Okay, Doug. Hey, thanks. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I think it's afternoon for everybody by now. Today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about this agent toolkit. We're going to talk about some qualifying questions, go through a little fact finder, and the Quicker Quoter is the gem that makes this thing all work. Okay, and basically the idea behind this is to show you how to sell some product. And again, what we're going to talk about today is just one example of the many ways that you can go out and sell life insurance. All right, so we're not trying to say this is the panacea answer to everything, but this is just a suggested idea that maybe you might write down on a piece of paper, put a little sheet, and put at the top of it, put the AHA on it, and see how many AHAs you get out of this whole presentation, and hopefully this will help you sell some business and hopefully sell it with us. So that being said, qualifying questions. I think this is one of the most important parts of any type of a presentation, is that you've got to make sure that the person that you're selling to, you're selling them the right product and the right solution. And so in order to do that, you have to ask some questions. So one of the things I like to start with when I talk to somebody is I just kind of point out that there's only 3 things that could happen to you or your spouse in your lifetimes. I mean, there aren't a lot of options out there, and the way they work is one or both of you can die young. Back to life, that can happen. One or both of you can become disabled or have a major illness. Again, that could happen. And these are just facts of life. It happens to people every day. And both of you can live the ripe old age and potentially then have an illness that requires long-term care. And you also just may outlive your money. You might live too long, and that's one of the big issues that people are facing today. You either die too soon or you live too long, because having enough money to live all the way to retirement is, if you only work for 40 years and you live another 40, saving enough money in those first 40 to take care of the next 40 could be a challenge. So that's the things that we have to look for. And so you need to explain this to people when you're talking to them, and ask these questions and make them think about this, because these are the things that they have to consider. These are their choices, and they can do some things about these. All right. And just to point out, many of the people I work with, when you're talking to the client, you might say that many of the people I work with have some of all of these potential problems covered. They don't even realize it in many cases. So what we want to do is take a look at what you've done so far to see where you stand. Yeah, so the whole idea is we want to gather some information. So we use a form to make sure we have all the facts to determine if we need to talk about any possible solutions. Generally speaking, when you first time you meet a client or you're talking to them, you say, look, I really don't know if you need anything that I have to offer or not. So the best thing to do that, to figure this out, you just take a look at what you're doing and see how you're doing so far. And if I can help, I will. And if I can't, hey, thanks for your time, and we at least have ascertained that you're taken care of. So what we have is, as a sample, we have this fact finder that you can get, that we'll be happy to provide from you. This is a thing that's provided by North American. And essentially, it's just a PDF file, and it asks for the client's name, address, phone number, etc. It talks about what their mortgage payments are, their rent, their balances, whatever else. Talks about one thing, if they have wills, and this is something that you can help by adding some value and suggesting that they get these done, or make sure they get them done, or just get an idea about that. And then the other side of the coin is you gather some information, you get some specific understanding where they are, what they're doing, how much they make, and basically just figure out, this is a qualifying event right here, is see if they're making any money that they can afford to do what you'd like them to do, basically. So that's one big issue. And then the next one just talks about what they have done so far. And also the big question I would point out on this thing is this one right here, monthly systematic savings. If they are saving money someplace, then they're probably a client for a lot of things, a lot of prospect for a lot of things. But if they're not saving any money currently, then probably this is just a big term sale. And that's what you have to understand. It's kind of like trying to take square pegs and put them in round holes. What you want to do is you want to sell the client what they can afford and what they need. But generally speaking, you have to understand, to try to sell them an expensive, permanent product that they can't afford is only an opportunity for it to lapse, right? And it won't give them as much coverage as they probably need to begin with. So the idea behind this is you have to figure this out. And going through this fact finder is how you gather all that information. So once you get through all this, and then you also find out how much life insurance they currently have. A lot of people have group insurance, but I think it's at one time that was a big objection. I've got all this group insurance, I don't need any more life insurance. Well, a lot of that group insurance is questionable at best going forward, as far as if they're going to have it going forward with Obamacare, and if the companies are going to change their plans, and one of the things that's going to go is the group insurance, and or a lot of people have lost their jobs, and the new company doesn't provide these benefits. So, and if they know that they have friends or themselves have lost jobs, they know they can't depend on it being there because it's not necessarily going to be there on the next job. So this is a big area that you can ask these questions, but you would actually, in my estimation, it would be best to say, this is nice to have, and this is extra added benefit, but we don't want to necessarily count on this for your future, to be locked into this thing and this be the only thing that you have, because they could take it away from you in a minute, right? So just basically going through this whole thing and gathering, then also figuring out what they want to do, and you might get some priorities here, what's most important to them. But the whole idea behind this is to gather the information, and knowledge is power. That's what it's all about, is getting the knowledge. So once you go through the fact finder, okay, and move on, then basically what you're going to do is you're going to determine how much life insurance the prospect currently has and the kind of insurance they have. You're going to determine if it's adequate coverage. That's one thing you're going to do. And what the prospect has done so far in regard to retirement, that's what you're going to ask and find out about that. And what the prospect plans to do in the near future. So those are the ideas that you just want to gather this information and understand this, okay? And then find out what money they have available to accomplish their goals, if they have any, okay? So once you do that, first and foremost, if the prospect isn't currently saving for retirement or hasn't done so in the past, this is probably going to be initially an all-term life sale. I would say that just because you showed up does not make them savers in any type of product that you have. So the idea behind it is that this is probably going to be just a term life sale. So first you have to do is determine how much insurance is needed, and you could use the QUOTER quoter to do that. So I'm just going to go to the QUOTER quoter, and we're going to fire this thing up. And I'm just going to do this and make it so it's easier for you to read. But this is the QUOTER quoter, and it's running on my computer right now, and you'll be able to download this and have this on yours. But one of the things you can do here is you can actually figure out an income calculator, basically, to figure out how much life insurance they need. So we click on this income calculator, and it works pretty simple. It's just, and there's only about 5 questions, and once you get these 5 questions answered, you really could explain to them why they need this much insurance. And what it also calculates is the least amount of insurance they need to fix that problem. There's not going to be anything left over after the end of this story. So basically we have, as an example, you got somebody who's making $75,000 a year. You could change the number. You could put whatever number you want in there. We're just going to assume that if the husband passes away, he's making $75,000 a year, that his family could live on 70% of that, or 65, or 85 or 95, whatever you feel is comfortable. 70% is a nice number just for for us here, and that says that they're going to need $52,000 a year. And the age of the breadwinner is 40, and perhaps this income, his wife, is the same thing. So basically, it's going to be needed for how many years? So let's just suppose that he wants to supply income to take care of his wife and his family, and then his wife until she gets to age 67. If she's age 40, get to age 67, which is the first year that she can, a 40-year-old can maximize her Social Security benefits. Okay, so take her that long. And the next two questions are, first of all, that these are the things that make everything happen right here. It's first, we're going to plug in inflation. Inflation's been about 3% for the last 20 years. Some people think it's going to be higher in the future. Right now, it's kind of like stagflation, kind of moving along sideways. It's not going too high, too low, but potentially it could turn into something really bad. But it's consistently is a couple to 2 to 3% every year. And so we have to take that in consideration. And then talking about if he was to give his wife a lump sum of money to have her invest to take care of her family for the next 27 years and herself, basically, what kind of return can she expect to get on that money? And generally speaking, there's a 5% number in here. That's probably a big number, but we're just going to leave it at 5 just to keep it at that number. And so what this does is that once we have that, we just display the year-by-year results. And I'm just going to make this the whole screen here. And what it says here, with the 3% inflation, 5% earnings, he needs to have $1,100,000 tomorrow to provide $52,000 a year and keep up with inflation. And it says if you go down and look through this thing, you'll see that the number is $1,600,000 to give him $52,000. But just because he's gone doesn't mean that inflation stops. So every year, this $52,000 is going to cost more to buy the same things. This is the what we're trying to buy. But look at this: in 23 years, because of inflation, it's going to take $100,000 to buy $52,000 worth of stuff today. So this end of the day is that in 27 years, there is no money left in this program. So this is the minimum capital they need. So we're not trying to oversell them. This is the least amount, and people can get this. Now, if he already has $250,000 or $300,000 of existing insurance that he wants to, count towards this, then that reduces this number by that amount. Okay, whatever it would be, whatever he's got right now could reduce it. Now, he could possibly want to, change that out, and maybe it's group insurance, and he doesn't want to count it. So you'd have to decide that in your conversation. But this very quickly will help you figure out how much life insurance this person needs. So once we figure out what they need, then we have to decide what we're going to sell them. So I'm just going to close this back off here. And we have that thing. So we're going to go, and let's just suppose this person's 40 years old. And you can put your name in down here, so your name shows up on everything. And we just said that he needed $1,100,000 of coverage. Okay. And so then what we're going to do, and then we're going to suppose that he actually needs this, for a certain time. So we're going to go look and just basically display this product comparison. If I just click this right here, and we have, I'm going to go, and we're talking about term insurance. So we have all these different types of term insurance. So we're just going to do, let's just say 30-year level term insurance. So this is what it says here. It says that basically for 30-year, if he's preferred plus, okay, it's $12.97. Banner's got the best rate. Transamerica comes in second. North America comes in third. All right. Then again, if you go down and you look, he's preferred. And again, I run into this all the time, that agents are, quote people, everybody's preferred plus, and you really have to be able to be a little bit better at that, because you need to set the expectation levels. Because if you quote them at preferred plus and they come in at regular, okay, if his premium went from $12.97 to $220, okay, at the best rate for standard, and that's actually standard plus. So down here it's $2,600 is standard. All right, get down to here, you're probably not going to be able to deliver the policy. So you need to do some real understanding of what their problems are and what their issues are as far as health-wise goes, because you want to make sure that they get the right quote. So I would actually, just to be safe, I would at least just start with preferred and run it that way. I wouldn't even show them the preferred plus rates. If they get preferred plus, the insurance company will give it to them. But I would start with this. Now, I sold term insurance via the internet and online, buying internet leads and things like that. And as a matter of fact, I probably lost more sales than I could have gotten because I was more honest and asked questions first before I sent quotes out. Whereas some of my competition that would just give them the lowest price. And end of the day, when you're talking to somebody face to face like we would be in this situation, you need to be upfront and real with them and explain to them that this is the price that we're going to apply for. If you qualify for a better price, you will get it. But this is what you can expect, and that would be you basically asking the right questions and getting their height and weight ratios and things like that, finding out if they're taking any drugs or meds, and trying to give them the right number so that their expectations are built on what they apply for is what they get. If they get a better price, that's even better. Okay, but the idea is that when you get a worse price, those get more difficult to deliver. Okay, because people don't like to be, and for whatever reason, they don't like to be what they think they get rated. And these aren't even ratings; these are just all standard rates, basically, at worst case. So the idea is that you can figure out which the best thing to sell them very quickly. I just want to show you something. This is interesting as you go. If you look at this, at the preferred rate, Banner for a 40-year-old for $1 million, $100,000 is the best product. Now, if we move up here and we get up to a 55-year-old, we compare now. Well, look, now Transamerica became the best product. Okay, so the idea behind this is that as you go through this, and some of the other companies don't even have 30-year term products for that age group. Okay, so if we get down a little bit earlier in 50, we can do comparison. You get more back, and you'll see that Banner is now better at so. Depending on whoever the age of the client is and what their rating is, will determine which is the best product. So for your all intents and purposes, you all need to be licensed or appointed with us with all of these companies, anyway, these top four, Banner, Transamerica, Lincoln, and North American. And these are the top four you'll see is, generally speaking, that'll be the best rates. And again, I like to sell fully underwritten life insurance in term issues when you're talking to people. The reason why I would tell you this is that there are some more simplified issue products out there that you can go out and sell. The problem with that is that you deliver the policy. They like this. Oh, it's a quick issue. Maybe don't have to get an exam, etc. All these things, and it gets issued in a hurry. You get paid in a hurry, and you also get charged back in a hurry because as soon as he talks to his brother-in-law and finds out that his brother-in-law bought the same amount of insurance for $30 a month less, he's going to cancel your policy. He's going to go get his brother-in-law's policy. So you need to be, you need to be the number one contender. You need to be the best provider going in here because you're not going to win any battles in the long run. Now some of those may stick, but chances are, we found that in many cases about half of them disappear very quickly, and it's just kind of like you did all this work and it doesn't get to stay in your pocket, and that's not a good plan. So that's how the Quicker Quoter works pretty simply. All right. We also have here, if you wanted to, if you can go and we can actually show them, if you wanted to get a no lapse or pay to age 100, all right, and let's just take this guy back down to, say, he's 40 years old. Let's see what that looks like. So it's like $6,000 a year, and North American is the best one for the preferred rate for, guaranteed UL. All right, you'll notice. And as we move up, and we run the thing again, you can change these numbers to get exactly what the client needs. And if you go in here and you find out that it's too much money, the face amount's too much, and he's, basically we're going to do a 30-year plan, and maybe he says that's too much money. I don't want to pay $154 a month. Well, then we could always drop back to a 25-year plan, or you could even drop him back down to a 20-year plan and get it more affordable and get them the right product. And this is a way to figure out what they can afford to spend, what they like to spend. He's getting the same coverage, just getting it for a shorter period of time, but we have some ability here to help them going forward. So the idea behind this is that they get them covered today and get it done. And you can do it so quickly with this program that it just makes your life so much easier, and the client gets it. And generally speaking, unfortunately, computer programs seem to tell the truth, or they believe they tell the truth. So whatever you run over here is what the person is going to believe. So essentially, it's a good thing if you're telling the truth. It's not so good if you're not. But essentially, you can do this, and you can show people what we have to offer very quickly and get them the best rates. And they like to buy the best rates based on what you tell them. But you have to set them up correctly. You just can't promise them the very, very, very best if they don't qualify. And that's part of the whole process. So going forward, we have some others, a retirement calculator, there's a return of premium analysis type thing. If you have any of those products in here, there's a pick 12 analysis, which basically you can actually pick 12 policies that you want to have, that you want to present all the time. And so we just click this in here, and this gives you this other report that's the top 12, essentially. And these are the products that I picked for my top 12. And you can put whatever you want in here, but I've just got it in here and just basically, and then we can print this out, and as a report. And generally speaking, you could have this all come out. It has all the products, all the choices here, shows all the illustrations. So it's just an illustration that works there. You can save it as a PDF file. You can email it to somebody. You can make this work, but you can give them all the information they need so they can make their decisions. So that being said, once you do this, you find out what they want to buy. Now, I'm going to take this one step backwards, and I'm going to jump to I'm going to close these down here. And I'm going to jump to the next thing. And so first of all, once you're in the fact-finding mode, if you determine that this prospect is contributing regularly to a 401k, 403b, whatever, then you may want to consider leaning towards selling him either the North American, preferably the North American, or the Lincoln product, because you can convert those. And this is the way it works. And this would be the sales presentation. We just showed this guy he's going to get $1 million of life insurance. He needs $1,100,000 to cover him. So what we're going to do is we're going to get him to apply for the $1,100,000 today. If we can get him to do that, that's great. If we can get him to do it with North American, it would be even better. Because what we're going to do is say, look, you apply for this North American policy. I understand that you've got a retirement program. I don't know if I could help you with that, but I think that there's an opportunity there that we can put these two together and actually reduce your term cost over here by 20 to 25%. And why would that be? Well, it's pretty simple, is that you can come back and you can sell them a max-funded IUL product, and that includes life insurance. So the idea behind it is that you get them to apply for $1,100,000 in North American here. And then in the meantime, you've figured out that he's also saving X amount of dollars in his 401k, IRA, wherever he's putting it in. We can take that money, put it into a max-funded IUL, and that will create some additional insurance coverage built into that program, and we can take that program, whatever that number would be, and say this guy was saving $10,000 a year in his 401k plan. That $10,000 could end up being a couple $100,000 worth of life insurance that he would get with his max-funded IUL program. So he has a couple $100,000 of life insurance, so then he can go back and reduce this amount of insurance from $1.1 million to $900,000. He'd still have his total $1,000,001. But this part of it would be funded with his max-funded IUL. Generally speaking, it would be almost a bonus program for him, but he'd still have coverage, and we can reduce this coverage over here because of that. And so the idea is that I'm going to go back and take a look at what I can do for you. I think I can get you a 20% discount on your term coverage. Really not a 20% discount, but a 20% less insurance, which effectively ends up being a 20% discount. So the idea behind this is that what we're going to do is next week we're actually going to show you how to come back in and run that illustration for the tax-free retirement program and show him how he's going to get this additional coverage at no additional charge and reduce the coverage of his whole overall program. So what we provide, and again what we have here, and the whole thing is we have low-cost, A+ rated term life companies that provide income protection. Banner, Lincoln, North American, Transamerica are our top companies for doing this, okay? These are the fully underwritten, A+ rated companies. You won't be embarrassed selling these products, and nobody can come back and tell you that you're selling junk, per se, because you're selling great products. Now, also, there's the term life of living benefits, which Transamerica has. They also have simplified issue. You actually get into that issue where you have to do that. And there's also, and you get in older ages and you need final expenses or guaranteed issue, they have product for that as well. Then going forward, we have the GUL. As I showed you, North Americans was leading candidate in that amongst the ones that are there, but they all have that. And North American has IUL and UL, basically. Banner's got just the GUL. And Lincoln National has an IUL and UL. And Transamerica has a UL with a return of premium built into it automatically. Their TransAce product says in the 15th year, you can get all your money back up to 1/3 of the face amount if you bought this policy if you wanted to get out. And it's just built in. It doesn't make a difference what the cash value is. You got to return a premium. So we have these products available. And for supplemental retirement, we have North America and Lincoln are our two best providers for that type of program. They have the most competitive products in the IUL space. And then for rated cases, of course, North American has a rapid builder. If we put the waiver surrender charge rider on it, Table 3 is standard. All of Lincoln's UL and IUL products have a table shaving program. Table 3 is standard. Banner Life, what they do is that when somebody's rated, they don't rate them up from standard. Most companies, when you get a rating, rating is like 50%. If Table 2 would be a 50% based on standard rates. Well, Banner does 50% based on standard plus rates. So 50% of a smaller number ends up being a smaller rating, basically. So that's their little niche in this world. And then, of course, we have this opportunity to sell cigar smokers and smokeless tobacco users. And those are folks, in this day and age, I think if you're hanging around the golf course, you're going to run into a lot of people who are cigar smokers. I mean, it's just everybody's out there smoking these cigars. And most of them are smoking too many cigars to qualify for non-smoker rates with most companies. But we have a program that with Lincoln, basically, anybody who smokes cigars or chews tobacco, basically, even if they test positive for nicotine, they will get standard non-smoker rates. And then on top of that, if you add in the table rating, basically, on their permanent products, you can get standard non-smoker rates. A cigar smoker that's heavily overweight can end up getting standard non-smoker rates. And the standard non-smoker rates also apply to their term products as well as their UL and IUL products. And then we also have, to help you even go further, is that all of the companies have added in these new programs. And right now, Banner has a program where you can go online and you fill out a form, give them your client's name, address, phone number, and how much insurance they want to buy, and a telephone number, and some basic information about the client. And Banner will call the client up, take the application over the phone, schedule the exam, do everything. Lincoln has a similar program, an iApp, as well as Transamerica has an iApp where you can go online and do the applications online. So the whole idea behind this thing is to make it easier for you to sell this stuff, not spend your days and weeks handling all this paper and making copies and FedEx packs and all kinds of other stuff to get these things out the door, or faxing. And I know everybody loves to use the fax machine. So this is one way that this is fax-free kind of underwriting. Trust me, this is the best way to do this stuff. So this is all available to you, all through us as well. And all we want you to do is just, if you have a question about any of this, just give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you. Doug's going to get you one of the quicker quoters that are on here today, as well as everybody that actually signed up for the webinar. And we're going to try and help you write more business and hopefully write it with us. And we're here to help. If you have any questions, you just give us a call. These are the numbers. I'll turn it back over to Doug and let him finish up here.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Louie. Guys, we appreciate you being on the call, and we'll be in touch with you. We're going to try to give every one of you a call this afternoon, get this quicker quoter out to you, and answer any questions that you have. Look forward to working with you, and thanks again. Louie, good job. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.